What is going on, everyone? And in this video, I'll be giving you my UFC Vegas 84 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday, January 13th, 2024 out of the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's 7 out of 10. Gotta be a 7 out of 10 for the main card. I think for the entire card, it's kind of like a 7 out of 10 for Apex. There's been far worse, at least on paper, and then there's been a lot better. But it could turn out to be after one hell of a way to open up the year. We'll have to see. Obviously, the next one, UFC 297, Strickland versus Duplessis. And so that one will be pretty hype, I think, just because, they had that little altercation at ringside. But yeah, this event, 7 out of 10. See what we get. Got a rematch in the main event. It was a no contest before. And then hopefully we do well this year, hopefully the fighters do well, so we do well, right? At the end of the day, it's like a coin flip on a lot of this stuff, but so yeah, it'll be good. Let's talk some fights. They are going up against the NFL playoffs, the wild card weekend, so that's a little bit questionable. Probably not a lot of people are going to be watching UFC Vegas 84 this weekend, at least here in America. So we'll see how this one plays out. And like always, let's go ahead and jump right in to the first fight. In the first fight on the main card, we have Phil Hawes coming in with a 12-5 record, and he'll be taking on Brunno Ferreira, who is coming in with a 10-1 record. And so this is one of those sketchy fights where, both guys can just probably get flash KO'd. Although at this point, I feel like Phil Hawes is going to be the one who gets flash KO'd. If anyone's getting flash KO'd, I think it's Phil Hawes. Now, for Phil Hawes, yeah, I mean, he's coming off of 2 losses where Roman Dolidze was able to take him out. Aliskerov, who was able to take him out, and that just, it just didn't look good. And these are fights where I feel like he could be winning them, right? Especially in the last one where he got, I think, was like a true flash KO. He was winning he was putting in some good work, right? He's putting together combinations. Looks very intimidating. Can even utilize some wrestling in his fights. Not that he's consistently diving in for a takedown, but he definitely can utilize the wrestling, and that's something that I think he needs to do a little bit more of, especially against a guy like Brunno Ferreira, who is going to come into this fight and try to take off his head, right? Very explosive, kind of sits back. We saw in his last fight against Ruziboev where, unfortunately for Ferreira, he ends up getting absolutely crushed, right? But Ruziboev was a lot bigger than him, fired right down the pipe with the counter and just took him out. That's the other thing. Ferreira is going to definitely have one of these things where he's going to be undersized. It's just a matter of who he's fighting, I think. Ferreira's first fight against Gregory Rodriguez, I mean, he definitely ate some shots in that one, but even in that one, he was able to come back because at any moment he lands one of these big hooks, it's all over. And so Phil Hawes could be putting in work. Maybe he even is able to get a takedown, although I think Ferreira's get-up game, I thought it was pretty solid. Ruziboev was able to take him down, but he popped right back up. It wasn't like he got held on the floor for too long. So I think his get-up game will, at least early on, will be pretty solid. And then having that ability to just always knock someone out is pretty big. Now, that being said, Phil Hawes could definitely just absolutely annihilate him from the get-go. Maybe he counters Ferreira early on, just like Ruziboev did, and takes him out. But it's just, it's Phil Hawes, right? It's not. I don't look at him like super technical. I think he obviously wants to get the KOs and all that. And by welcoming that kind of fight where you're trying to go in there and get a KO, you also put yourself in danger. And then that's where Phil Hawes could be winning the fight and then makes one little, eats one little bit of a shot and boom, he's flatlined. And so that's the sketchiest thing for me because Ferreira, yeah, I mean, he just seems like a little tank, right? It's kind of like a little tanky guy, and he's got to really, he has to really either be able to take you down or he's going to have to get inside and land one of these big hooks on you. But if he can't do that, right, especially against some of these bigger guys, he might lose the fight. But I don't see this going to decision. I think, obviously, one of these guys is going to get absolutely annihilated. And it's just super sketch to go with Phil Hawes because, if they do get into a wild exchange, he might just get clipped like a little bit on the chest. Boom, he's dead. So yeah, it can't be going with someone who's getting clipped and destroyed like that. So I gotta go, and not confidently because, like I said, man, I don't really have confidence in either of these guys. But I've seen one guy get flatlined coming off 2 losses. I just don't know if he's going to be able to get in there with a wild exchange. So for me, I'm going to go Brunno Ferreira to defeat Phil Hawes. I'm going to take him to win by round 1, KO TKO. In the second fight on the main card, we have Ricky Simón, 20-4, taking on Mario Bautista, 13-2. And this is one of those fights in the bantamweight division where you get an exciting fight, right? Pretty much every fight in the bantamweight division has got something at this point because it's a very competitive division. But you have Ricky Simón coming in this one off of a loss against Sung Yadong, and where he got outstruck, and it was just really a matter of time, right? He was trying to land those big hooks. He was trying to get the takedowns. He did land 2 takedowns, but the majority of takedowns he did not land. And I think his whole entire game, 2 of 9, right? So I think his whole entire game really relies on whether or not he's getting those takedowns, because he is one of those guys who will just dive in for a takedown. You know, he's just going deep into the takedown, and really he's going to keep trying to chain them to get, like, he's going for the takedown. And then at the same time, he can obviously land some good shots on the feet. He can go for a submission if he needs to. Got 2 arm triangles in the last 5 fights, so wins. And then a decision. Like, he's got power. But it's like when he fights those really top level guys, like when he fought Rafa or when he fought Uriah Faber, and then obviously Sung Yadong, he's just not able to get past them, right? Something happens. Although I will say, like, he is tough, right? He's definitely tough. I mean, even in that, like I said, even in that fight against Sung Yadong, didn't happen early on. Like, he eventually got taken out in the 5th round. Just a little bit too much damage. I caught him with like a check hook too, and just put him down. And then obviously Sung Yadong was able to finish him, but his cardio in a 5-round fight too slowed down definitely a lot, but I think that just comes with how explosive he tries to be. He's not one of these guys that's like mixing in a bunch of combinations, kind of how Yadong was doing, which is probably, you know, that's why he's not going to land super good amount of volume. But he is dangerous, like Ricky Simón. But I have to say, obviously, the most dangerous part of his game has got to be that just grindy style of wrestling. Like, this dude's going in for the takedown. And then you have Mario Bautista coming in this one. He's coming off of, he's on a win streak, actually. So he's on a 5-fight win streak. And so that's pretty good for him. He does have some losses. So very first fight inside the UFC, like one hell of a way to start out, right? Against Corey Sandhagen. He lost via submission. And then when he took on Trevin Jones, he lost that one via KO TKO. But then he builds up 5-fight win streak. So he's pretty, you know, he's doing pretty good. This is a guy who can also land takedowns, but I obviously think in this fight, it'll be more of like a defensive kind of takedown situation or defensive submission game, you know, reversal positioning. If Simón gets a little bit too crazy in there and he ends up getting a little careless, you might see Bautista go for like a submission or just try to, just try to reverse the position somehow. On the feet, I think he's also probably a little bit more put together. You know, Bautista's definitely going to go for more of a, he's going to put together combinations versus just trying to land like big hooks, right? Jumping in, boom, hook. Yeah, he's going to go for a little bit more than that. Like, he doesn't load up on his shots. So the concern though is still going to be whether or not, like, is Simón going to be able to consistently take him down, put him against the fence, take him down, put him against the fence, take him down. And he's got 3 rounds to do that. So he's probably not going to gas out, you know, more of his style of fight. Bautista's really just going to have to be able to reverse position, either light him up on the feet, you know, keep him at bay a little bit, light him up on the feet and see what he can do there. But still, you know, similar reach. So, you know, neither guy really has like a reach advantage. The biggest thing is just like whether or not Bautista is going to be able to light him up on the feet, stop the takedown, threaten. And if he does get taken down for Bautista, he's got to get back up fairly quickly because, you know, the moment Simón realizes like, oh, I can just take this guy down, like he's going to take him down. He's going to go for like 15 takedowns, right? So that'll be a little bit concerning. Bautista also has to keep that high pace up. He's got to make it a war early on, really get Simón. You know, he could probably hurt him, but he's going to have to make it ugly. None of the sitting back, you know, picking the shot. No, you got to go in there, be aggressive against a guy like this, stop that wrestling. But like always, I don't think that's going to happen. So I think we see Ricky Simón, right? Unless he falls off drastically and just looks horrible in this fight, I think he might get back on track. I don't think he's ever, Ricky Simón, I don't think he's ever going to be a champion. I don't think he's ever going to be able to get past those top guys. But I do think he'll be able to kind of be like that gatekeeper, which at this point, I mean, no disrespect either to him. I think he's a good fighter. It's just, I think at this point, he's just unfortunately not able to get past that next level. But for this one, you know, I'm going to go with Ricky Simón to defeat Mario Bautista by decision. In the third fight on the main card, we have Jim Miller, 36-17, taking on Gabriel Benítez, 23-11, and this will take place in the lightweight division. So this is an interesting matchup because you got you look at his record, right? 36-17 for Jim Miller, and then you look at his record inside the UFC, 25-16, one no contest. So it's legit like a whole nother record, right? This guy's fought everyone. He's in there. He's doing everything, right? He's just a veteran in the game, legend. He's gonna be the only guy to fight at UFC 100, 200, 300. So he's been going forever. He's fought everyone. He's been taken out. He's won a lot. Like it's just never a champion though inside the UFC. So like unfortunate for him, but still veteran in the game. Knows he's not getting finished, even though he's not like ever really hitting that next level. He's not getting finished. Tough fighter. We saw that even recently in his fight against Alexander Hernandez, where Hernandez landed 108 significant strikes to his 67, put some damage on him. But I mean, Miller was still putting damage on him. He didn't get, taken out, dropped, or anything like that. So he can definitely get in there and fight you, right? Like it's not like he is older, he is a veteran, whatever, but he's not getting KO'd or submitted every, 5 in the past 7 fights. So that is something to keep an eye out for because I do think he can make a lot of these fights a little bit harder for the other guy than they need to be. Now you have someone like Gabriel Benítez coming in his fight against a win in his last one via KO TKO over Charlie Ontiveros. And unfortunately for him, I think Benítez pretty much mounted him and then finished him like that. Yeah, good win for him. Good. You got to take out a guy like that who has 3 losses now inside the UFC. But beforehand, he lost to David Onama, KO TKO in round number 1, which was a pretty back and forth fight until he kind of slowed down a little bit. And then Onama just really put it on him and took him out. Billy Quarantillo in a fight where I feel like Quarantillo made that, as he does, makes it a war, makes it ugly. He ends up losing in the 3rd round. And then he has some other losses, Omar Morales, Sadiq Yusuf. So another guy who, when he fights those little bit, not top level, but like a little bit up there, he ends up a little bit more of the names. He's not able to win those fights. He's still very dangerous. Obviously, has nasty. Gabriel Benítez has nasty leg kicks, right? Not a guy you want to just not be checking the kicks or just let him kick you in the leg 5 times in a row, even to the body. And that's something to keep an eye on here is Miller. You see him a little sketchy sometimes when he's some kicks to the body. So something to keep an eye out for if Gabriel Benítez is able to consistently start landing kicks. He might eat a little bit of those and end up on the floor. But that being said, I think Miller, we've seen him strike lately. We've seen him try to make it a war, and he can do that. But I think against a guy like this for Benítez, he needs to start grappling, right? He needs to find his way inside, grapple him, because I think at the end of the day, it's not like Gabriel Benítez has, I don't even think has he lost via submission? No, he's not even lost via submission inside the UFC, which is fine. That's like saying like, oh, he's never been knocked out, and then you fight the guy who finds your chin, well, then now you have your first knockout. So I don't want to say that Miller can't submit him either, right? I understand that Benítez has never been submitted, but you never know, right? Especially against a guy like Jim Miller. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think Gabriel Benítez has to go for the kicks, land the body kicks, get in there. But this could be one of those fights where Gabriel Benítez looks a little bit good on the feet, right, early on. But then if Miller's able to start grappling, press him up against the fence, just engage in all of that, and then maybe make it ugly, he could start to take over this fight, or he could look for a finish in that 2nd round, right? I think Benítez, if he's facing a guy who's also capable of grappling, if not at a better level or the same level, that's going to tire him out a little bit. So I would look for Benítez early on. He's got to go. He's got to start landing those kicks, try to take him out. And then for Miller, he's got to go early on, start grappling, start wearing him out. And it could go to the 3rd round too. And maybe there's a finish in the 3rd round if Benítez is slowing down, right? And then Miller's still hanging in there. But the sketchiest thing for me is just Miller and taking some of those body shots. I don't know if, he might eat one shot and just go down. You never know, right? It's a fight at the end of the day. But I think outside of that happening, I think Miller, 1st round, a little back and forth, some grappling. But then the 2nd round, I feel like Miller might be able to get him up against the fence or just pressure close to him, get the clinch, take him down, start trying to work, backpack him or something, and then maybe look for a submission. And so, yeah, maybe we get to see a submission here. And like like I just said previously, I understand Benítez has not been submitted inside the UFC, but you never know. So for me, I'm gonna go Jim Miller on this one. Let's see if we can get him to UFC 300 without him getting flatlined or anything crazy like that. Or just because the thing is if Benítez just destroys him on the feet or something and lands like a crushing shot to his rib cage, like hopefully he makes it to UFC 300, right? Like hopefully he doesn't get too badly destroyed in this one if he does lose, so he can make it to UFC 300. And then you get more history for that card. So I'm going to go Jim Miller to defeat Gabriel Benítez. I'll take him to win by round 2 submission. In the co-main event of the evening, we have Matheus Nicolau, 19-4-1, taking on Manel Kape, 19-6. In a rematch, the first fight, Nicolau was able to get that split decision victory. So a little bit, not necessarily a dominant win, right? And on top of that, I think Kape second, third round was starting to take over in that one. Outside of those 2 takedowns, maybe whoever judged the fight for Nicolau obviously was able to give Nicolau more credit for those 2 takedowns, but still, I think Nicolau, my biggest thing with him is if he's not able to get that grappling going, right? So if Kape this time definitely does a little bit more to prevent him from being taken down, or just a lot more getting up quickly and then landing that damage, Nicolau, he definitely tries to bait you in, right? He wants to bait you in. A lot of circling. He has quick hand speed and he has good patience. He can definitely counter. But the issue is when the other guy is super aggressive, I feel like that's when it's just not good for him. And Nicolau, like I said, man, he if he wants to get the grappling going, that's one thing. But I thought Kape, I think Kape can handle himself with that. I think he doesn't want to let this fight go too long, right? I think this is one of those ones he's not going to want to go to a decision. And even in that fight that they fought the first time, he defended 7 takedowns. So Kape definitely has the ability to not be taken down. And I think the longer the fight goes, Nicolau might slow down a little bit. And Kape's going to be, like I said, super aggressive. He's going to get in his face. And I think he's going to want to get him out of here early. He doesn't want to let this go to a decision, because that was really, it was a tough fight to score. I really thought Kape could have won that one, but he didn't. So we go again. They meet again. And I just like Kape, his ability to be aggressive. He is confident, a little bit too confident sometimes. Maybe, he could definitely get checked, right? But I think he has a lot better ability to start putting up strikes, a lot more aggressive. He's not going to just circle around the ring. He's going to go forward. He's going to be able to land good combinations. He's going to go to the body, head. And you saw that in their first fight. Like, he was lighting them up with some of these combinations. But, yeah, he's going to want to end it early. Unless he gets badly countered and dropped or something, I guess he could get taken out. But I think Kape's gonna be motivated to like not let this go to the judges and want to finish early and get it right in his face. So I'm gonna go Manel Kape. I think he's gonna be aggressive and take him out quickly. So I'm gonna go Manel Kape to defeat Matheus Nicolau. Also gonna win by round 1 KO TKO. In the main event of the evening, we have Magomed Ankalaev, 18-1-1, coming in to take on Johnny Walker, 21-7. And this will be a light heavyweight bout. And this will be a rematch. The previous fight ended, unfortunately, in a no contest, which was a little, you had a little bit of taste of the wildness from Johnny Walker. Ankalaev landed actually 2 pretty solid good body kicks, and then you had Walker kind of bait him in because he faked. I think it was faked. He faked that he was hurt, and then the moment Ankalaev came in, he just jumped right up like nothing happened and literally almost caught him with a flying knee, which would have been, one of those KOs where it would have been crazy. But Ankalaev was just out of reach, and then that led to a grappling exchange, and then he took him down, and then when he was getting back up against the fence, he ends up kneeing him in the head. So they call it whatever. Johnny Walker says the wrong thing to the ref. That was like a whole controversy and all these things. But for me, Walker's, we know what we're going to get, or we don't know what we're going to get from him, I guess is what you want to say, because he's one of these guys who spinning back fist, he could flying knee you. He could fake something, right? He can also probably go for a submission if he needs to. Really though, like that fight against Ion Cutelaba for him though was more of Cutelaba just not having the greatest fight IQ. But like a lot of his other fights, spinning back fist, flying knee, like we've seen some crazy stuff from him. But when it gets into a fight where I feel like the other guy's really a little bit more well-rounded, which I think Ankalaev is, right? I think he definitely has some good boxing. He can utilize takedowns if he needs to. And he's like overall like a pretty solid fighter versus he's not really gonna go in there and start trying to throw spinning back fists and like flying knee, like, and he kind of has his plan, right? He'll be a little bit technical, a little bit reserved. He's not gonna try to buy into like Walker's craziness and get into like these wild exchanges. He's got power of his own too, right? It's not a guy you want to get consistently taken down by. And that's the other thing, right? Is Ankalaev, like, what if he's able to consistently take down Walker, damage him or whatever? I mean, we've seen, I mean, I guess we've seen both guys really not have exciting fights, like especially for Ankalaev against Jan Blachowicz, a split decision, draw, right? It's like, what kind of fight was that, right? I mean, Ankalaev did land more. He landed the 2 takedowns, but he really didn't do anything to Blachowicz when they were on the floor, which was like, right, like, what was that? He did take out Anthony Smith. I mean, that was a good win. Walker went to a decision with him, and that was an odd fight for him. That was sometimes Walker's in these decision fights where it's a little bit weird. Like against Thiago Santos, not much happened there. He did lose to Jamal Hill, got KO'd there, badly memed KO'd. He beat Ion Cutelaba, but like I said, I honestly think Cutelaba that's just more of a fight IQ thing. He beat Paul Craig, right? He took him out, didn't let him start dropping in the submissions. Ryan Spann, he took him out, but that was like a back and forth fight. Nikita Krylov took him down 3 times. Low volume fight. He got taken out by Corey Anderson. So yeah, I don't know. For me, Ankalaev, utilize the takedowns, do a little bit more damage on the floor. Don't knee him in the head when he's coming up. Follow the rules and all that. But overall, I think, yeah, Walker could bait him in, hit him with a flying knee, hit him with a back fist, right? Hit him with all these things, hit him with the spinning elbow. But if that's the only way he can win, I'm a little bit afraid Ankalaev will be able to string together some harder combinations on the feet and then take you down and do whatever on the floor. And then obviously if he's taking you down a lot, or just when he does take you down, he's able to land the ground and pound and just transition, which I think he needs to be a little bit more active on the floor. That's going to take a lot of energy out of Walker too, right? Having to constantly get back up and all that. And then that's when you might see him just one of those third rounds, he's going to try to do something crazy, which could always work. But I think the better fighter is probably going to win here. Could be the one time out of the 10 times they fight where he flying knees him again or something, or tries to. But yeah, Magomed Ankalaev, I'll go with him. Not the most exciting fighter, right? Definitely not. But he finds ways to win, and it's a fight, so that's kind of what matters. I'm gonna go Magomed Ankalaev to defeat Johnny Walker. I'm actually gonna take him to win by decision. So that'll do it, guys, for my UFC Vegas 84 main card predictions for the upcoming event this Saturday, January 13, 2024, the new year, the first event of the year in the UFC. See how it plays out. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciated everyone who subscribed last year, commented, liked, whatever, watched the video. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.